Do you crave violence? Do you find yourself playing the healer in MMOs because everyone on your team has the collective IQ of a McChicken sandwich? Do you spend every waking moment of your life filled with rage because the low-functioning lobotomites you get teamed with keep trying to end up on milk cartons? Do you feel a burning desire to tilt everyone on every team using nothing but a giant snow globe? Well, if you answered yes to any of those questions, congratulations. You have what it takes to be a support Kelvin. Real talk though, from one support to another, our teammates are morons. I'm gonna level with you, man, or girl, or non-binary homie. It's rough out there. We have Eternus players who put their entire build into concussive combustion. Lady Guys players who see a hero who can throw Essence Bomb with Echo Shard and still build Gungeist. And also, Yamato players. Still not sure what that hero is supposed to do, but I've never actually seen one win a game. So yeah, team's morons. But here's the thing, there are morons, and it's our job to protect them. So let's talk skills. Now here's a question for you. What good is a healer who can't heal? That's about as useless as Charlie Kirk's bulletproof vest. And remember, we're dealing with morons here. The poor soul we're babysitting while laning will need frequent healing because they still haven't figured out that bullets hurt and they should get away from them. Now, you could try to alleviate their suffering by grabbing a healing right, but trust me, the moment you pop that on them, they're gonna run headfirst into a firefight and try to catch a bullet with their teeth. So instead, we're gonna heal them with grenades. Ignore Ice Path and Frozen Beam for now. Don't worry, we're gonna get to them soon, especially that beam. But for the laning phase, just get your grenades to level 2. The first level gives you a second grenade, which when combined with extra charge means you have 3 grenades to perform trick shots and alley-oops with. And the second level gives you a spirit scaling heal. And trust me, you're gonna need every single one of those grenades because by the late game, you're spamming one like you're coding in binary trying to keep everybody alive. Then once you got that at 2 points, forget about it, let's move on to other skills. I'm gonna go ahead and get ahead of the comments section here and say ignore Frozen Shelter for now. Yes, I know what I just said. I can already hear the army of people who watch streams and don't think for themselves telling me every pro Eternus guide on the planet tells you to get that to tier 3 first. But I want to tell you about something. Eternus players are playing with other Eternus players. We are not. We are solo queuing, probably somewhere between Seeker and Emissary, in skill brackets where nobody buys Healbane. Frozen Shelter requires 2 things to work. A Kelvin who can use it to lock an enemy in the no-no dome with your carry, and said carry to be smart enough to seize that opportunity. And as good of a player as I'm sure you are, I gotta reiterate, you're playing with people who think crayons come in different flavors. Like, look at this Abram, man. Dude probably thinks he got twice as many cherry crayons as everyone else because he's colorblind or something. Instead, you're going to dump 1 point into Ice Path and get Arctic Beam to level 3 first. And let me explain. Let's say your teammate is running from an enemy. If you hit their pursuer with a beam, that's going to slow them down and let your ally escape. But let's say there's 2, or even as many as 3 pursuers. What do? Well, if you leveled Arctic Beam all the way first, you can lock half the enemy team down, and now your teammate can escape. Or they'll, turn around and engage headfirst back into the enemy team. Like, come on man, you know these people's mothers were lemmings and their fathers were like super lonely rodentologists. Also, little pro tip. While your average teammate has about as much wattage as a burnt out light bulb, the same can also be said for your average opponent. And as Valve hasn't painted the walls with yellow paint yet, if you stand on your Ice Path above your opponents when you turn on that fire hose, most of them won't realize that if they would just tilt their heads up about 12 degrees, they'd be able to figure out where the pain was coming from. Plus, as the latest patches have put a huge emphasis on jungling during downtime, that beam turns Kelvin's clear times into something that rivals Drifter. Like I said, unless you're playing with a Haze who knows what they're doing, and you're not, Arctic Beam is going to do more good for you with the scrubs you're with than Frozen Shelter is. Level it first, and then move on to the Thunderdome. Then level Ice Pass to level 2 for the increased cooldown, finish up. Actually, you know what? Here, just follow this little graph right here. It's better than me in explaining it at this point, and you can actually reference it. Got it? Good. Alright, let's move on to items. Here's a problem for you. Being a support is good and all, But about half of what's needed to be a support is presence. Real presence. The kind of presence that makes your opponents ask themselves, did I take my prep today? When they hear that ice path in the distance. If the enemy doesn't fear you, they're not going to back down when you nosedive to save your teammate. So instead, we're going to build damage first and worry about that whole supporting thing for after the laning phase ends. Luckily, Kelvin has such a reputation the lower he lows as a killjoy that you can use that to your benefit. People are terrified of your grenades, which is funny because they only do like 60 damage and have a huge cooldown. Believe it or not, your opponents don't actually know that. They just see a snowball come flying at them and dive right out of the way. And if you buy extra charge after the first laning phase and ration out your grenades, your opponents will think you got more presence than you actually do. Next, combine your beam with Mystic Expansion. That'll push the beam further than the starting fall-off range for literally everyone's auto attack. And as an added bonus, as both of your abilities slow, your enemies are going nowhere fast. It's like what your boy Kong Ming said when he wrote The Art of War. There is no greater weapon than tilting your opponent with endless slows. And then finally, before the laning phase ends, get Surge of Power and put it on the beam. Remember, the danger stream is going to be our bread and butter, and combining it with Surge of Power means you take less penalty on your movement. So get that, extra charge and expansion like I said earlier, and you'll hit that 4800 soul requirement pretty quick. Once you have all that, you'll have 3 snowballs, a laser that can chase down anyone, and double your starting damage on all your skills. And once you've accomplished that, you can let off the spirit for a bit and immediately buy the actual core item that every support Kelvin needs. Rescue Beam. Alright, again, I'm aware of the divergent train of thought that says Guardian Ward is a better choice for Kelvin as it boosts his skill's range. And while I agree, that extra 200 point barrier isn't going to be doing a whole lot when Bebop is doing their best impression of an abusive father with your character. So instead, Rescue Beam, especially when used on Ice Trail, is basically a guarantee to save your teammate from said Bebop, Dynamo ults, Billy ults, you name it. Actually, pretty much everything that isn't a wall. Walls, as it turns out, are actually the direct counter to Rescue Beam, though it is pretty entertaining to leave your Yamato player to die because beam pathing won't let them pass over a guardrail. Yeah, suck it, nerd. Finally, the last 2 items I recommend for Kelvin are Healing Booster, as you can upgrade it to Healing Tempo at any time and make your entire team move faster than a preteen at a Diddy party, and Enduring Speed. Now, Enduring Speed may seem a bit odd, but remember, you have 5 uncoordinated teammates running around 3 New York City blocks doing their best to end up as police sketches. Every point of movement speed you can milk out of Kelvin is another potential rescue beam when it's needed, so buy it. It's only like 1600 souls, and it could save a life. Plus, the whole slow resist thing. Before I go, I want to show you 2 pro tricks for Kelvin. The first one is kind of hard to pull off, but stick with me. First, pull your carry into a rescue beam and immediately follow it up with a frozen shelter. If you do it right, it gets them out of harm's way, heals them, and gives you some breathing room to regroup while you prepare for a counterstrike. Keep in mind though, while you're doing this, the enemy's going to be sitting outside the barrier waiting for it to come down, and if you're not careful, you're both going to die. Like, realistically, you're going to kill your teammate 50% of the time. But, whatever. And finally, and keep in mind, this one's actually more emotionally difficult than technically difficult. Sometimes, despite your best effort, your team just wants to die. They crave death. And you, as the eternal support, must prevent them from meeting up with Sharon. Or is it Karen? Chiron? Sharon? Okay, we gotta prevent them from crossing the river Styx. Stikes? Stickies? We're gonna keep them from dying. Okay, and when that inevitability finally happens, and your team just isn't going to escape no matter what they do, this is what you do. You charge the enemy line, you press 4, and you wave goodbye. After all, the enemy can't kill your team if they're locked in a bubble with you.
Fly, you fools!
Yeah, I'm just kidding. Kelvin never dies. Woo!
Cause I'm burning something powerful. Fuel injection action from my femur to my collarbone. Gone in 60 seconds as I'm Blasted through the danger zone. Double time and rhyming, stopping on a dime. When they wave the ticket flag, you know I'm clocking in my time. Barriers are broken from the subsonic waves. I'm all gassed up knowing that the fast lane pays. Life in the fast lane, life in the fast lane. All I wanna do is speed up till I find you. I'm saying 3, 2, 1, go! Spark up the ignition, stop here and then I'm out of here. Fastest man alive, prepare for takeoff through the atmosphere. Cockpit neutral dropping, weapon burning on the open road. Speeding round the corner, you can eat my dog. You're too damn slow. Rock and roll ignition, rapid disposition. When I'm blasting supersonic on a fuel injected mission. Carbureted intake, fossil fueling with a turbo boost. Cross the finish line because I'm cranking one juice. Buckle up for safety cause you know about to blast off. Broken off the records, tell you son you better back off. Speeding like a demon, must be dreaming that my ass off. Fast up then go speed up fast. Life in the fast lane, life in the fast lane. All I wanna do is speed up till I find you. I'm saying 3, 2, 1, go! Black rockin' afterburner, with the switch and watch me zoom. Iron Eagle in a tail, bust the tower, shake the roof. Train conductor, locomotive, riding solo, full of brakes. Some point of no return, we're heating up the intakes. I'm like tornado, probably really fatal. When I'm rapping all my shit, they like 808, 08. All the competition can get left in the past. Supercharge it in your lane, cause I'm just so fast. Life in the fast lane, life in the fast lane. All I wanna do is speed up till I find you. I'm saying 3, 2, 1, go! Life in the fast lane, life in the fast lane. All I wanna do is speed up till I find you. 3, 2, 1, go! You think this is a lyrical competition? This isn't a rap game, man. This is the fast lane, son. Oh, you think you're the equivalent to Mark 1? But I'm far past Mark 11 in this ish, man. I'm just following the rules of the road, you know? You wanna try following the rules of the road yourself, kid? I'm saying 3, 2, 1, go! Life in the fast lane, life in the fast lane. All I wanna do is speed up till I find you. Think homeboy here's driving with the e-brake on. Get ready to enjoy the essence of my exhaust pipe, brother. Let's go!
Alright folks, that's the end of this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and if I time this right, it should be out by the end of the year, around the time as the update. If not, oh well, more videos to come. Thinking about another story time before I cover more Deadlock? Like, I know I'm a mid-skill gamer, and this guide is meant to be more of a stepping stone and kind of a joke as you actually learn the game and get into the hierarchy of lows. So think of it as like a pub stomp build while you're in Seeker, and when you finally surpass me in Ritualist or Emissary, I wish you the best as you get to like better builds, the stuff that uses the dome and the grenades. And just know, when you move on from this build and are a better Kelvin than me, I'm proud of you. So rock on, man.